A cordial greeting. Today is Saturday, September 7th, 2024. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. In this video, I will be talking about several disturbances we are monitoring in the tropical Atlantic region. First, an area of bad weather related to the intertropical convergence zone, and second, a strong tropical wave that will emerge from Africa between Tuesday and Thursday. Both disturbances have been marked by the National Hurricane Center with cyclonic development probabilities over the next 7 days. Before discussing the possible development of these disturbances, I wanted to briefly mention that we are closely monitoring the Gulf of Mexico, where we have Invest 91, which has a high probability of becoming a tropical depression and eventually tropical storm Francine in the coming days, as it passes near the coast of Tamaulipas, Texas, and Louisiana. In fact, some global models already show that we could also have a hurricane development by the end of next week. It's important for residents of Louisiana, Texas, and Tamaulipas to stay tuned to the National Hurricane Center's bulletins. If you'd like to learn more about the forecast for this disturbance, I invite you to check out my YouTube channel, where I recorded a video earlier today. After a fairly inactive period in the Atlantic, we are starting to see that over the next 7 days, there will likely be more cyclonic activity, coinciding with the peak of the hurricane season in September. According to the latest tropical outlook from the National Hurricane Center at 2 p.m., in the Gulf of Mexico, Invest 91 has a 70% chance of cyclonic development in the coming days. Additionally, we have a low-pressure system between the Caribbean and Africa, which the National Hurricane Center has increased to a 40% chance of development over the next 7 days. Furthermore, they have marked an area west of the Cape Verde Islands with a 20% chance of cyclonic development over the next 7 days, associated with the upcoming tropical wave emerging from Africa. Let's take a look at the infrared satellite animation of the tropical Atlantic. Here you can see that in the intertropical convergence zone we have several low-pressure areas, primarily one located between longitude 40 and 45 degrees west. It's important to pay close attention to this area as a tropical cyclone could develop here in the coming days. On the other hand, another low-pressure area is expected to develop further east, and in the coming days, we will be monitoring the interaction between both areas in the tropical Atlantic. This type of cyclonic development, where we have several disturbances interacting with each other, complicates the forecast. Additionally, these disturbances are expected to remain fairly stationary for the next 3 to 4 days, and at some point, they will also interact with the upcoming tropical wave, leaving us with considerable uncertainty. As we will see in the latest projections of global models, let's begin with the American model. Here, you can see that by Sunday, this low-pressure area is located near longitude 40 degrees west. Also, there's a low-pressure system developing west of the Cape Verde Islands, and you can see how this model projects that once the next tropical wave emerges between Tuesday and Wednesday, this wave will interact with the low-pressure system west of the Cape Verde Islands. In the long term, you can see that both disturbances may converge, resulting in the formation of a tropical cyclone. However, this interaction will likely result in the disturbance taking a northward trajectory over the open waters of the Atlantic. Still, besides the interaction of this tropical wave with a low-pressure area, we also have a more compact area that the GFS model projects could become a tropical cyclone by next Tuesday or Wednesday. If this scenario unfolds, the model projects a westward trajectory passing near the northeastern Caribbean. This is a possibility shown by the American model, which is why we need to stay vigilant in the Caribbean to see how this interaction between the low-pressure systems and the tropical wave develops. However, do not be alarmed by the GFS model projection, as other models do not show this movement. For example, the European model's projection for Sunday shows a low-pressure system associated with the first disturbance. This one has a 40% chance of development, and in this case, the European model shows a slightly different interaction than the GFS model. This model develops a new low-pressure system closer to Cape Verde, interacting with the upcoming tropical wave, while keeping the first disturbance relatively weak, which the GFS model develops quickly in its midday run today. The European model develops a tropical storm or hurricane associated with the new tropical wave emerging from Africa, while the first disturbance is basically dissipated in the Atlantic waters. A significant difference between the American and European models, and this is a clear example that we still do not have consensus between the model runs, making this forecast quite complicated. Other models, such as the German model, show the development of the first disturbance on a slightly more west-northwest trajectory, while also having the interaction of the new tropical wave and the low-pressure area that could develop just west of Cape Verde. This solution resembles what the American model shows. Similarly, the UK model also shows a tropical storm or depression passing just northeast of the Caribbean associated with the first disturbance, which has a 40% chance of development, while the new tropical wave, with a 20% chance of development, is kept on a trajectory toward the open waters of the Atlantic. In general, it seems that in the coming days, we will see the development of a tropical cyclone related to the intertropical convergence zone, and the upcoming tropical wave also has a good chance of development. This means that there is a possibility of seeing at least 2 cyclones form over the next 7 to 10 days. However, Among the different scenarios we have, the most likely outcome is that both disturbances will maintain a trajectory over the open waters of the Atlantic, especially the tropical wave that will emerge between Tuesday and Wednesday, which will probably stay out of the Caribbean region. However, the first disturbance still has a lot of uncertainty, and it could pass a bit closer to the northeastern Caribbean. At least for now, most of the members of the American model ensemble keep a west-northwest trajectory, eventually passing away from the Caribbean. In fact, the projections from the European model ensemble also align with this idea, as all members show a movement over the open waters of the Atlantic for both disturbances, the tropical wave emerging from Africa, and the low-pressure system with a 40% chance of development. There's definitely a lot to observe over the next 7 days. For now, the outlook seems favorable for the Caribbean, but we will be keeping an eye on any changes in the forecasts, especially to see if the GFS model's westward trajectory continues in the coming runs in the next few days. I want to emphasize that, for now, there is no imminent risk for the Caribbean, and we can remain calm but vigilant about the situation. If you want to stay informed about this event and the future development of Tropical Storm Francine, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Go to the bottom of the video and click on the red button that says subscribe, and then click on the bell to receive notifications when I upload new videos. Well, that's all for now. I'll record the next video tomorrow, Sunday. See you later.